This corner. Today's tales are based on spiritual creatures and beings in the forest. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel. Thank you.
The old ranger, Elias Thorne, had seen his share of strange things in Yellowstone. Geysers erupting off schedule, bison herds stampeding for no apparent reason, the occasional tourist who thought a selfie with a grizzly was a good idea. But nothing, not in his 30 years, had prepared him for the summer of the missing hikers. It started subtly. A couple from Ohio vanished without a trace near the Grand Prismatic Spring. Then a solo backpacker, last seen heading towards the backcountry trails of Obsidian Ridge. No bodies, no gear, just gone. The Park Service blamed rogue bears, flash floods, anything but the unsettling truth that was beginning to gnaw at Elias. He was out on patrol one sweltering August afternoon, the air thick with the scent of sulfur and pine. His ATV sputtered to a halt near a rarely visited thermal area, a cluster of mud pots and fumaroles known locally as Devil's Kettle. The ground vibrated faintly beneath his boots, a constant low thrum that was more felt than heard. It was then he heard it, a whisper carried on the steam. "Lost!" Elias froze, his hand instinctively going to the sidearm at his hip. He spun around, scanning the desolate landscape. Nothing but steaming vents and gnarled lodgepole pines. He shook his head, blaming the heat, the isolation, the stress. But the whispers returned, clearer this time, like dry leaves skittering across rock. "Come, join us!" His heart hammered against his ribs. He knew this part of the park like the back of his hand. There was no one else for miles. He tried to rationalize it, the wind playing tricks, the gurgle of the mud pots. But the sound was distinctly human, yet utterly inhuman. He decided to cut his patrol short, a prickle of unease crawling up his spine. As he turned to remount his ATV, a movement caught his eye. Just at the edge of the steaming vents, where the ground was a treacherous crust of silica and minerals, stood a figure. It was tall and gaunt, shrouded in what looked like tattered, mud-stained clothing. Its skin, where visible, seemed to shimmer with an unnatural pallor, almost translucent, and its eyes. Elias would never forget those eyes. They were sunken, hollow, and glowed with a faint phosphorescent light, like embers in a dying fire. The figure didn't move, didn't make a sound, but Elias felt an immense, suffocating dread emanating from it. It was a silent invitation, a pull so strong it almost buckled his knees. He stumbled back, tripping over a fallen log, his breath catching in his throat. As he scrambled to his feet, the figure slowly raised a hand, its fingers long and skeletal, pointing towards the roiling, bubbling mud pots. And then he saw them, reflected in the viscous surface of the mud, barely discernible through the steam, were other faces. Dozens of them. Their eyes, like the figures, glowed with that same eerie light. Their mouths open in silent, desperate pleas. The missing hikers. A guttural cry escaped Elias's lips. He scrambled onto his ATV, fumbling with the ignition. The engine roared to life, and he tore away, not daring to look back. The whispers followed him, a chorus of spectral voices echoing in his mind, growing louder, more insistent. He didn't stop until he reached the relative safety of the ranger station, his body trembling, his face pale as ash. He tried to explain what he had seen, but his words came out disjointed, nonsensical. The other rangers looked at him with concern, suggesting he take a few days off. Elias knew better. He knew what lurked beneath the beautiful, deceptive facade of Yellowstone. He knew the whispers were real, and the glowing eyes were waiting. He never went back to Devil's Kettle, nor did he ever truly sleep soundly again. For even in his dreams he could hear them, calling him back, the lost souls of Yellowstone, forever bound to the steaming, hungry earth. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind howled just right, he swore he could see a faint, phosphorescent glow outside his window, beckoning him to join the others. The old cabin stood in the heart of the Berkshire Mountains, a place Elias Thorne rented for solitude, hoping to outrun the city's clamor and his own persistent thoughts. He arrived in late May, finding the cabin rustic and remote, utterly devoid of modern comforts, ideal for his historical writing. Yet he immediately sensed the mountains held more than history. They held secrets. The silence wasn't empty, it was waiting. His first few days were idyllic, spent hiking and exploring. He soon discovered a small, unmarked grave near a crumbling stone wall, its weathered marker illegible, sending an inexplicable chill down his spine. Then came the dreams. Fragmented images of a child's laughter, followed by jarring silence, left him waking in a cold sweat. They grew more vivid, more insistent. He dreamt of a shadowy woman by the grave, humming a mournful tune that twisted and writhed in his memory, clinging to him like a persistent earworm. A week later, faint whispers began to carry on the wind. Lost, so lost. And find her, Elias. He tried to dismiss them as sleep deprivation or an overactive imagination, but the unsettling voices persisted, making his laughter feel hollow and brittle. One evening, a ferocious storm plunged the cabin into darkness as the power died. Then, clear as day, a child's soft crying came from right outside his window. Undeniably human, it spurred him to cautiously approach the window. Despite the blurring rain, the crying continued, soft and desperate, drawing him deeper into the woods. Against his better judgment, a primal urge to investigate seized him, and he ventured into the howling tempest with a flashlight. Guided by the ghostly crying and the mournful humming from his dreams, he stumbled through the undergrowth. The air grew impossibly cold as he emerged into a small, desolate clearing. There it was, the unmarked grave. In the flickering beam of his flashlight, he saw her. A translucent, shimmering spectral figure, the woman from his dreams, knelt by the grave, her face obscured but radiating profound sorrow. Beside her, a small, weeping child, no older than 5. The woman raised her head, her eyes empty, hollow pools of despair, yet filled with ancient, unbearable pain. She extended a hand, and a reedy voice whispered from the very air around him, "Help us. We're lost. So lost. Since the fire." Elias stumbled backward, terror seizing him. As the spectral figures faded into the mist, the woman's voice echoed one last time, an agonizing plea. "Find her, Elias. Find Sarah, before it's too late." He didn't wait. He ran blindly through the forest, the whispers and mournful hum relentlessly chasing him. He burst into the cabin, barricading himself inside, trembling uncontrollably. He spent the rest of the night huddled by the cold stove, wide-eyed and terrified. The cabin, once a sanctuary, now felt like a tomb. The next morning, Elias Thorne packed his bags and fled the Berkshire Mountains, never looking back. But the whispers and the mournful hum followed him. He still hears them sometimes, a cold, persistent shadow in the corners of his mind, a haunting echo of the secrets buried deep within the Berkshire Mountains, and the chilling, unanswered plea, "Find her, Elias. Find Sarah." He remains haunted, ignorant of Sarah's identity or the fire they mentioned.